everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup, the show where we round up all of the latest news in the world of movies. Not that many shows. Oh, hold on for one moment. Sorry, the show is officially back on track and ready to attack. Yeah, there aren't really that many news stories to talk about this week, but we're just gonna go through them. Also, by the way, I'm not talking about the Will Smith thing. I will be talking about another celebrity, but that's because it relates to like nerdy movie news. But I don't. It's fine. Will Smith bad. He bad for what he did. So it's whatever. But yeah, it's just that doesn't really pertain to like nerdy movie news, and I feel like everyone's talked about it enough. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, okay. So first up, Batgirl. It's a movie, and it's done filming. So earlier in the week, Leslie Grace had put out. She's playing Batgirl, by the way. She put out this little Instagram post being like, it's our last week of shooting Batgirl and I'm getting emotional dump. Be prepared for more. But in advance, Scotland, thank you for, and like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this was the last week of them shooting Batgirl, and it is the end of the week, so presumably they're done. I think I saw another post of hers being like, we're officially done. Something like that, I think, but this is the one that I recorded earlier in the week. So yeah, Batgirl's done. I'm actually like pretty excited for this movie. I don't know, like I haven't seen a trailer for it or anything, so I'm not like overwhelmingly excited, but like I don't know. I feel like I like the where the DCEU has been trending towards, where they're just letting directors come in and sort of have a bit more autonomy and creative liberty with what they're doing, and I like the suit, and it being this like utilitarian and actually feeling like Barbara Gordon could have conceivably made it. I think that's cool, and I think that could maybe speak to sort of a more not even gritty necessarily, but just like maybe raw is the right word sort of feel that this movie could potentially have, with it being on HBO Max. I'm like, I don't know, something about it. I get good vibes from it, if that makes any sense. So I don't know, maybe it'll be terrible. But it's done filming. Hopefully it comes out late 2022. I hope, because all those other like DC movies got delayed. If you remember, we talked about it a few weeks ago. But Batgirl wasn't mentioned in those movies because A, they haven't given it a release date, and B, it's not a theatrical release. So hopefully it comes out later this year. But we will have to see. Next up, looks like we may have our actor for the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series. So this is the actor here. His name is Sunny Sujik, something like that. And he posted this on his Instagram story. So he posted pictures of scripts that that the character names has, say, Luke and Percy, and Luke mentions Grover. So those are the names of the characters from Percy Jackson. So he's at the very least auditioned for the role, and it would be really dumb to leak the pictures of the script if the studio did not give you permission to do so, Now, I guess he's a kid, so maybe he's just a dumb kid, but like I you don't do that. If you don't like if the studio hasn't given you permission to do so, you do not like leak the script. That's just not a thing that you do. So, and when you look at the way the scripts are like framed, it's like this looks like one of those things where like, and he has a little winky face there. This looks like one of those like pictures where like where like a director is like teasing something where it's like, oh, it's out of focus, and oh, look at this, look, oh, we're being cheeky. So I'm kind of operating under the assumption that, hey, maybe this the Sunny Suji guy is gonna be Percy, and I have no real opinion on that because I have not seen Mid 90s, which is I think that's like the only movie that he's in, or the most notable movie that he's in. I haven't seen it, so I have no opinions on the kid. The one thing that kind of makes me second guess myself though is because apparently he's 16 years old, and I'm pretty sure they said that they were going to get a 12-year-old or 12-year-olds to play these characters. Now maybe they've decided to change course, but that is the one thing. He might be a bit too old for the direction that they're going. But yeah, anyways, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping for the best for this Percy Jackson show. You know, I love the Percy Jackson books. They were like my favorite books as a child. Like, those are my Harry Potter, really, honestly. Like, Percy Jackson is my Harry Potter. So I'm hoping for the best. You know, the movies were what they were, and hopefully we can get. And yeah, but aside from that, hopefully we can just start getting some like super high quality Disney Plus shows that aren't Marvel or Star Wars. Because fortunately, that's kind of where we're at the moment, where it's like what is on Disney Plus aside from like Marvel and Star Wars that's like worth watching. It's like nothing really. So yeah. Okay. Next up, Ezra Miller is apparently a bad person. So I got a bunch of stuff to read, and then I guess we'll just talk about it. This is all from Variety. Ezra Miller was arrested by law enforcement in Hilo, Hawaii on Monday morning. Miller was charged for disorderly conduct and harassment after an incident at a bar. According to a post by the Hawaii County Police Department, South Hilo officers responded to a report of a disorderly bar patron on Sunday evening at 11:30 p.m., which was Ezra Miller. Police determined that the agitator had become unruly, while other patrons sang karaoke and had begun yelling obscenities. Miller then grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing karaoke and later lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts. So, Monday morning, he gets arrested for assaulting people in a bar. And then, this is from another article in Variety, kind of like detailing further things that happened that night. According to Hawaii Police, Police Assistant Chief Kenneth Chikuiocho, police escorted Miller off the property hours after they posted bail. Okay, so wait, let me finish reading this because I might have said this wrong. A resident on the property called the police and asked for advice on removing two house guests. The restraining order against Miller says the actors burst into the Hilo couple's bedroom and threatened them. Miller allegedly stole some of the couple's belongings, including a passport and wallet. According to Kyocho, Miller has been the source of 10 police calls in Hilo since March 7th. It is unknown at this time how long Miller has been in Hawaii. Okay, so my apologies. I kind of like clipped out like something that is a little needs a little more context. So I'll just explain what would happen after the initial event. But basically, Ezra Miller, he was at a bar and he assaulted people, got arrested, posted bail, then stayed in some random couple's house, which is already just, that's really weird on top of what happened before, where it's like, why are you staying in a random couple's house, Ezra Miller, star of The Flash? I mean, I guess it's not inherently bad, but it's like, what are you doing? You probably should, I would not stay in a stranger's apartment. That's just me. But then not only do they show him hospitality, I guess, he runs into the bedroom, and I wish I should have saved the quotes, but he runs into the bedroom and he says something to the extent of like, "I'm going to kill you," to I think the guy, and then he calls his partner like a slut or something, and he threatens to kill them, and he stole some of their belongings. And apparently he's been the source of 10 other police callings. Ezra Miller's a bad person, it seems like. And the thing is that these are not isolated events. Like, a few years ago, he was caught on camera. He was caught on camera choking a woman and slamming her onto the ground. That is a thing that happened. And then a few months ago, he posted on social media, like, he like threatened to murder. I think it was explicit, like a threat to murder. Although don't quote me on that because I don't have like the direct quote. But he threatened like a chapter of the KKK. Now, obviously the KKK bad. I'm not okay with the KKK. KKK bad. And you know, if something were to happen to the KKK, I'm not exactly gonna be shedding a tear for them. That being said, you can't go around threatening people, especially Ezra Miller, star of The Flash and Fantastic Beasts or The Secrets of Dumbledore or something, whatever that Harry Potter movie is called. You can't go around threatening people on social media, no less. That's just not a thing that you can do. You know, leave things to the authorities. I don't know. What are you doing? And then now he's going on some rampage in Hawaii. And the weirdest thing about all of this is that Warner Brothers has not addressed these things. Like, they've just gone, shh, don't, it's okay, don't, just everybody's gonna forget about it. Let's just move it under the rug. Like, we have Ezra Miller literally just straight up assaulting people. I mean, Will Smith, like, what he did was bad. He slapped Chris Rock, and that's really, really bad. And it's pretty messed up that, you know, he was just there for the rest of the show and he was able to like give his speech or whatever. Like, that's bad. Don't get me wrong, that's bad. But we've put so much attention on Will Smith and literally nothing on Ezra Miller. What is going on here? You know? It's crazy that like that Warner Brothers has just done nothing. Like, honestly, what he's done up to this point, I think is bad enough that like legitimately it's too late to like recast him in like the Fantastic Beasts, whatever, Dumbledore's gay or something. I don't know what that movie's about. It's like, obviously like that movie's coming out in a few weeks. It's too late to recast him in that. But this guy is turning into such a liability that you already delayed The Flash to like June of 2023. I think you recast him and you reshoot. Now, that is incredibly expensive. I understand that. And like that is a big decision. But I think you have to have that conversation at this point because Ezra Miller is not well. He's like, and like I said before, this isn't like one random situation. This is a pattern of behavior. This is just crazy to me. Like, I don't know how he's still in movies at this point. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think about this whole Ezra Miller situation because it's kind of crazy and I don't feel like enough people are talking about it. Like, it feels like people are just going to go watch the Fantastic Beasts Dumbledore or something and they're not going to care. And potentially people are just going to go watch The Flash and they're not going to care. And that's just insane to me. I don't know. Like are we seriously going to see Ezra Miller on like the press tour, on the press junket for like, you could probably get away with not putting him in the press junket for Fantastic Beasts. Where are the beasts? Where are they? But are we going to see a press junket where Ezra Miller is just there? And he's just like, hey guys, it's The Flash. Whoa, whoa. I don't know. This is insane. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below because this is pretty crazy. But for now, we shall move on to the next story. Zelda, the sequel. Okay, so this is a video game thing. I don't normally talk about video games, but this is a video game that I'm really looking forward to, so I'm talking about it anyways. Screw you, it's my show. Make your own show. If you don't like it, get away from me. Um, yeah. So, I accidentally went to the next thing. Yeah, Zelda, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, has officially been delayed to 2023. This is like this screenshot from the announcement video that says what I just said. So maybe that was a bit useless. But yeah, in the announcement video, like the lead developer, or I guess the game director, that would be what the lead developer is. He was basically like, we have ambitious plans for this game, and we need more time to do the plans for the game. So unfortunately, we're delaying the game to 2023. And I'm definitely disappointed. Like I want to play this game, and I would have imagined that this game would have come out at a quicker because, it's presumably using the same engine and the same world as the first game, so you'd think they'd be able to crank this one out quicker. But I haven't exactly checked the math on this, but apparently the wait for when they announce the sequel to when we're getting it in 2023, apparently that is going to have been a longer wait than when they announced the first Breath of the Wild to when we eventually got it, which is, I think it took them 5 years to make Breath of the Wild, and I think it's going to have taken them 6 years to make the sequel, which is really crazy. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, at this point, I feel like this game can't just be like it can't just be, oh, it's Breath of the Wild again, but with new missions or whatever. Like they need to have been doing something to warrant this wait. Now I get it. There was also COVID, but even with COVID, I mean, come on. Like if you're really just doing Breath of the Wild again and you're just reusing the same map and it's just more things to do in it, even with COVID, I don't think it should have taken you 6 years. So I'm expecting a lot of things out of, they're making it so that there are like islands in the sky that you can explore. At this point, I'm kind of expecting you to be able to go underground and explore as well. I'm literally only saying that because of, like, in the trailer, you see them like exploring a cave. I'm kind of expecting there to be like a massive underground cave system, like maybe like Elden Ring. I have not played Elden Ring, but I think that there are really big caves in Elden Ring that you can explore. Like I'm now expecting a lot from this game. So yeah, but either way, like at the end of the day, like, I mean, my position on video game delays generally are like, hey, if you genuinely need more time, take more time, don't torture your developers, let them see their families. If you need more time, it's okay. I can wait. That's generally my overarching position. What I'm saying is that, okay, if you are taking more time, I am kind of now expecting more from this game. Okay, next story. Sharon Stone is apparently going to be the villain in Blue Beetle. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. Sharon Stone is headed to the DC universe with a role in Blue Beetle. The Oscar-nominated actress will play the villain in the piece. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed Stone, whose character Victoria, I lost my place. Cord is a new creation for the film, previously journeyed into the DC. I guess Stone previously journeyed into the DC realm with a role in the ill-fated 2004 Halle Berry film Catwoman. So she's gonna be playing the villain in Blue Beetle, and what's interesting is that name, Victoria Cord. So I remember I read a couple issues of one of the Blue Beetle runs back when I was like, I'm gonna get into comics, and then I tried to read a bunch of stuff, and then I kind of like fell off. So that's on me. But I started reading Blue Beetle, and from what I understood, and at least from the run that I was reading, there's this character Ted Cord who's kind of like this Tony Stark kind of guy, where he's this kind of like, I don't know if he's a billionaire or anything, but he's like some kind of rich scientist. And I think initially in the comics, Ted Cord was Blue Beetle, but then the character Jaime Reyes, which what's his name? Jolo Jello something, from the guy Miguel from Cobra Kai. He's gonna be playing that character. In the run that I read, that Jaime Reyes, he kind of like finds this alien scarab thing, which gives him the Blue Beetle suit. And then I think it's just that Ted Kord is just like fascinated by the scarab, and so he kind of like starts mentoring Jaime Reyes. But Ted Kord is a good guy, and Victoria Kord obviously wasn't in that because she's a new character created for this film, is presumably related to Ted Kord. So I wonder if this is kind of hinting at some kind of like family drama aspect that this movie's gonna have. Like maybe Ted Kord is like her. Maybe Sharon Stone is gonna be playing like Ted Kord's mother or something. I don't know, like that. That's very interesting. And yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely excited for this Blue Beetle movie. I mean, I think it probably says a lot about it that this was initially going to be an HBO Max movie like Batgirl, and they made the decision to be like, hey, we have something here. Let's put this on in theaters. I mean, I think that speaks volumes. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in this. So, let me know what you think about Sharon Stone being cast. All right, next story. ObiWan has been delayed. Only for 2 days. April Fools. April Fools. Okay. This is coming from WDW Magazine. Disney Plus will now launch Obi-Wan Kenobi on its new release date with 2 episodes. Perhaps this is a sort of mea culpa or a late birthday gift from you and to all of us. Better still, the new release date for Obi-Wan Kenobi now falls on a Friday. What a way to end a week, huh? Subsequent episodes will air on Wednesdays. That means you'll have just 5 days between the second and third episodes. So, oops. This is weird. I don't know why they're doing this. Like, initially I read this and I was like, oh, so I guess maybe the Obi-Wan episodes will air on Fridays so that it doesn't air the same time as the Miss Marvel episodes on Wednesdays, because I think this is going to start and then like a couple weeks after Miss Marvel is going to start. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But the subsequent episodes that are going to sort of clash with Miss Marvel are also going to air on Wednesdays. They're only doing this for the beginning. I don't know why they're doing I don't know why they're doing this. It's weird. Also, like, the original date is apparently like the anniversary of the original release of the original Star Wars movie. So there was like that whole aspect to it that they're just saying, nah, who cares? I honestly don't have any good reason why they're doing this, but I guess it's cool that we're getting 2 episodes. So let me know what conspiracy theories you have. House of the Dragon, it has a release date. This is coming from Deadline. HBO has announced a debut date for the Game of Thrones prequel from George R.R. Martin, Ryan Condal, and Miguel Sapochnik. It will premiere August 21st. Interestingly, House of the Dragon will debut ahead of that other big-budget fantasy series that's in the works, Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. The streamer already announced that its upcoming J.R.R. Tolkien adaptation is coming September 2nd. Interesting. So we are now, I guess, going to be getting a Game of Thrones show airing concurrently with the new Lord of the Rings show. And these shows are both in very interesting positions because in a lot of ways, Game of Thrones, the original Game of Thrones, kind of lived under the shadow of the Lord of the Rings because, you know, I would imagine that when it came out, people were like, oh, they're trying to do Lord of the Rings on TV. And it kind of like probably took them a lot of work to be like, no, this is Game of Thrones is its own thing. You know, it's more mature and violent and you know, whatever. There's a lot of booty and booba all around, right? In Game of Thrones, you're not getting all the boobas in Lord of the Rings, or maybe you do. I haven't actually seen Lord of the Rings, so maybe I'm speaking out of my mouth. Maybe there's a lot of booba in Lord of the Rings. I don't know. But you know, then Game of Thrones just became its own thing and became like massive in its own right, and became the Lord of the Rings of television, right? but then it ended badly, right? Or at the very least, unpopularly. And so now this new Lord of the Rings show is in this weird place where it's like it has to not only live up to the movies, of course, but honestly, more importantly, it needs to live up to the legacy of Game of Thrones as this high fantasy thing on television. And then this new Game of Thrones show, which you'd think it'd be like, oh, it's Game of Thrones is continuing. Amazon Lord of the Rings is honestly, they should be worried about airing next to Game of Thrones, but because of how Game of Thrones ended, now this new Game of Thrones show has to kind of like maybe make up for how the last one ended and get people back on board with Game of Thrones. So it's this really weird situation where these shows have a lot to prove. Like both of these shows have a lot to prove, and it's a kind of a power move on HBO's part to be like, oh yeah, no, we're down to air right next to Amazon's Lord of the Rings. We're even gonna we want you to get a taste of our show first. So I think that's interesting. Is this too much high fantasy? Honestly, maybe for me, because I'm not the biggest high fantasy guy. So I don't know that I want to watch Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings at the same time, but we shall see how it all goes. All right, last story of the day. Mandalorian season 3, it's done filming. Yay. So there's this guy, he posted Star Wars season 3 is wrapped filming. I guess I don't know if this is an outlet that reported this, but then Carl Weathers confirmed it. So that's cool. Yeah. Mandalorian, when did season 2 come out? Was that in 2021? I think or did Mandalorian season 2 air in 2020? I think it might have. Let me actually look that up real quick, because like it does feel like it's been a while since season 2, and then we obviously got the Book of Boba Fett, which was not very good. It's just Mandalorian season 2. Yeah. Oh yeah, it aired in 2020. So yeah, they took a year off. So yeah, I'm definitely eager to get back to the Mandalorian, honestly, because the Book of Boba Fett, that was not it. I want, and again, like I know it's been a worn out topic, but it is insane that the only good episodes of the Book of Boba Fett were, or at least the best episodes, were the ones that focused on the Mandalorian. So yeah, I mean, I want to get back to the Mandalorian, honestly. And yeah, hopefully we get back to it by the end of this year. Kind of with Batgirl, I'm like, they're both wrapped filming at this point. They have enough time, I think, to do the post production work, and yeah, hopefully it's out by the end of this year. So yep, okay. Now we're done with the news stories of the week. Now let's get into what I've been watching / playing. I watched Halo. I know episode 2 is out. I haven't watched that yet, but I got around to watching episode 1. I thought it was good. I don't know. I'm not a massive Halo fan or anything. I've played Halo Reach, I've played Halo 1, and I've played half of Halo 2. And I've enjoyed what I've played of the games, honestly. But I will say, the story isn't exactly the reason why those games are good. Don't come at me, Halo fans, but like I've seen a lot of Halo fans take umbrage with this show, but I'm like, I don't know what story you feel is being desecrated, especially considering all you guys you're always telling me like, what Bungie did was so incredible, and then 343 came in and ruined it. I'm like, I'm halfway through what Bungie did. I don't know where this incredible story that you're talking about is. That's just me. I thought the show has, in one episode, Master Chief is infinitely more likable and interesting than anything that they've done in the game so far. Sorry, he just is. Like, he appears to actually be a character. He's not a character in the games. At least up to the point that I've played. Is like, he's basically Doom guy. He's just man who shoots guns at the aliens. That's all he is. And yeah. I thought the action at the beginning of the episode was really good, actually. Some iffy CGI, but I thought all the like choreography and everything was really cool. And yeah, like I'm interested in kind of like the politics of it all. I'm interested to see what's going on with the Covenant. I'm like, I'm just fine. Okay, next. I like Halo. I will watch episode 2 at some point. Next up, I played Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Well, I haven't beaten it, but I am playing it. And this game is delightful. It is, I believe it's the first 3D Kirby game. I don't think we've ever gotten another 3D Kirby game. I don't know. I'm not a huge Kirby guy either. The only other Kirby game that I'd played was Kirby Squeak Squad on the Nintendo DS. And I really liked that game. But I just never played any of the other ones. And yeah, this game is absolutely delightful. So I was always wondering when I saw like this game in like Nintendo Directs, I was like, how exactly is Kirby gameplay going to translate to 3D? Like that was always something that was in the back of my mind. And it's more or less the same thing. It's like it controls like similarly. The only difference is that like it feels like in the 2D games, you can basically just like fly up anywhere you want basically. But in a 3D environment, in order to kind of like craft challenges and like puzzles, you can't just fly up infinitely, and you actually like run out of like the ability to fly like pretty quickly, and you start coming down. And I'm like that's like the one significant change I feel that is actually makes it like that's a good decision, right? So that the game isn't too easy. But other than that, like you suck people up, you take their powers, and you go and you do things. But it's just a really cute and well designed game. Now, I guess to maybe give you an idea of it, it feels like an in between of like a proper 3D Mario game and Super Mario 3D Land. Now, I haven't played 3D World, so I'm going to talk about 3D Land, where these are very like they're pretty small and linear levels that you're going through. And so that's like Mario 3D Land. But whereas the levels in Super Mario 3D Land were very much like these are video game levels, and you're in this weird like abstract void, right? Like in that game, like you're not in like a real world. There's a little bit more like verisimilitude, which is a funny word to use for Kirby, but just a little more like verisimilitude, where like when you're running around the levels, like you can see in the little image there, they're buildings in the background, and it's like it's a very linear level, but you kind of feel like you're in this world without it, without it actually being an open thing like Super Mario Odyssey. And I really like that because the level design is incredibly like tight and focused, and it's like this level you're going to do this one thing and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then in this next level you're going to do this one thing and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I like that they were able to keep like this really tight level design of like a Super Mario 3D Land, but still have sort of the more like grand and epic feel of, like a Super Mario Odyssey. It's really cool. Like I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying this game. It's also really weird. It's like there's a thing that happens at the beginning of this game that I'm just like, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm like, this is happening now. And I guess I'm in. This is happening. It is unapologetically happening. Cool. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's just like, okay then. But yeah, definitely recommend Kirby. Especially if you're just finishing up Elden Ring and you want to play something that doesn't want to make you not want to be a part of this world anymore. I think Kirby's probably going to be like a really great little chill out and relax type of game. But yeah, next up, I watched Moon Knight episode 1. This has honestly been my most anticipated MCU project. honestly, like even more so than Multiverse of Madness, if I'm being honest. Like, I just thought the trailer was utterly fantastic, and the promise of a more darker MCU show, kind of flirting with the edges of a PG-13 rating, in having this horror psychological thriller vibe to it. I was like, this looks great, and thankfully, episode 1 delivers. I'm not gonna say that it's like, it's not I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Oh, whoa. Like, I'm not at that point yet, but I don't like. I appreciate that the show is kind of taking its time to unravel exactly what it is. Like, I appreciate that. And I can absolutely see myself getting to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because it's taking its time to tell the story that it wants to tell. And I appreciate that. But yeah, so I honestly don't want to get too deep into it, because I feel like this is a show with a premise where it's like, if you don't know anything about it, just go and watch it. Like, just watch it. And I feel like that's the best way to go about it. So I kind of don't want to get too deep into it, other than I really like it. I'll probably start doing more in-depth discussions once we get into episode 2, and it's like, okay, well now you should have been watching Moon Knight. But okay. I just want to say watch Moon Knight for sure. Next up, the last thing I want to talk about. I watched Morbius. I don't know what to say about this movie. It's not good. But here's the thing. I will say this, like, I do stand by this. This is the best movie in the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. Like, I do think that this is an improvement on Venom 1 and Venom Let There Be Carnage. Because I honestly did not hate the first 2 acts of this movie. The first 2 acts were not good. But I don't think it was this unbridled disaster. Like, I was watching, I was like, oh, it's okay, it's whatever. The 3rd act, however, is awful. Like, genuinely awful. Kind of awful to an entertaining degree, because it's just like, why? Like, what is even happening? So that's the thing. It's the best movie that Sony has made in the spunk, but it's still not good. And oh my gosh, those after credit scenes are so bad. Like, I'd heard before that the after credit scenes are bad, and part of me was like, okay, they're after credit scenes, like, whatever. Like, how bad can they really be? Okay, I'm gonna spoil the after credit scenes. I won't spoil the movie, I guess, but like, you should not care about. First of all, you shouldn't care about Morbius spoilers in general, but like, all I'll say is that the after credit scenes, like, they don't have anything to do with the movie. Like, they honestly don't. So in the after credit scenes, we see that after the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, Michael Keaton's Vulture is thrust into this Venom universe. Not only, like, that doesn't make sense, because the spell that Doctor Strange cast, it was to bring other people into the MCU universe. It wasn't sending anybody out. So it does not make sense for Michael Keaton's Vulture to be expelled into Venom, other than the reason of Sony wants to make their own shared universe, and they want Michael Keaton's Vulture in it. That's the only reason that makes sense, not in the narrative of the story. And then he comes in, and he's like a villain now, but it's like, that's not how the character was left off in No Way Home, or in Homecoming. he was kind of left off as like, you know what? I'm kind of accepting what I've done and I'm not going to go after Spider-Man. And then when he comes in this movie, it's just this awful iteration of the character where he's like, Michael Morbius, you want to go fight Spider-Man with me? And then more Michael Morbius throughout the movie, he's set up as like a good guy. Like he's not a bad guy. And he's just conspiring with Michael Keaton's Vulture and he's like, wow, that sounds interesting. And by the way, this is the most like blatant example I've ever seen of like two actors on like different sound stages on different days, like not acting against one another, where it's like Michael Keaton's Vulture, he comes up and he doesn't take off the mask. So Michael Keaton didn't even show up for this scene, but it's so obvious that Jared Leto is not having a conversation with somebody. Like they just randomly gave him these lines because the way that he delivered them just did not at all correspond with the way that the Vulture was saying his lines. It's one of the most bizarre after credit scenes. It's genuinely terrible. I just at this point I think we need to stop campaigning for the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Because here's the thing. If we were ever to get an Amazing Spider-Man 3, you know it's going to be in this universe. It is. The Amazing Spider-Man 3 will be in this universe. And I don't want Andrew Garfield to interact with these characters. I don't want to see Andrew Garfield fight Tom Hardy's Venom. I don't want to see him fight Michael Morbius. I don't want to see him fight this weird iteration of the Vulture. Like, he was a good villain in the first MCU Spider-Man movie, but he's just this weird, generic villain in this. And it's like, I don't want them to hurt Andrew anymore. You know, they already hurt him with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't want to see him get hurt anymore. So we need to stop campaigning for The Amazing Spider-Man 3. Don't do it. Just don't make it, Sony. Please don't do it. But yeah, Morbius bad. It is in fact bad. I know you're all shocked. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Morbius, the living vampire, in the comments down below. Maybe you liked it, and if you did, then I think you need to see someone because